Now that segment where we hear from our correspondents is here. Today we touch base with all our reporters across the country on stories they covered during the week. We begin with Martina Abukari from the Northern Region. She brings us that sad story of a 10-year-old Alhassan Abukari who has stopped attending school because he cannot write. This is because he lost both of his hands in a fire when he had a seizure 3 years ago. Alhassan says he hopes his dreams of becoming a teacher will be achieved despite his condition. Watch this first.
Alhassan was born a normal child like other children in his neighborhood in Yampala in the Northern Region. He had a pleasant life until one evening at age 7 when he had a seizure. His parents thought it was convulsion, but it turned out to be epilepsy when they visited the hospital. A month later, his mother was in the room with him and his newly born twins. Alhassan said he was going to attend to nature's call, but instead of returning to his mom after nature's call, he went to sit by fire his mom had set. Unfortunately, he had another seizure and fell in the fire. They were grown when the illness attacked him. I was at a funeral when they called me that he had convulsion, but it turned out to be epilepsy. That was the beginning. But on the day his hands got bent, I had given birth and was with the children in the room with him. He said he was going outside to attend nature's call. But when he returned, instead of coming back to the room, he went and sat by the fire I had set. He got a seizure and fell in the fire. By the time I came out, all his hands were bent. Ignorance of the consequences of taking Alhassan home from hospital and money had become a crucial subject to save his hands. But from where I sit in a compound where poverty is visible all over, a house with broken walls, rooms without doors, a compound scattered with just one stool.
Quite the story there, and Martina Abukari has joined us on via Zoom. Now, Martina, how is he faring now? Please unmute your microphones, Martina. I think there's a challenge with your microphone,
yes,
Martina.
Yes, I just unmuted. It comes on and off, and so currently he's doing well, even though he's not like any other child who would love to play around and then have fun like any other child. Most often he's very quiet in the corner where he just sits down soberly instead of joining his colleagues. And it's very sad to see a child who would have loved to be like other children, but because of just a bit of a challenge, things have gone very bad for him. Now, when I walked into the compound of the house, it was so sad that in this season, you have rooms without doors, just people go in and then they have to use just a cloth or something to cover to save themselves from the cold, the harsh weather. And they had just one stool, and so they had to go and borrow from their neighbors a bench for us to sit. This tells you that there's no way this family can be able to get the artificial hands for this boy, who would, which would help him to get education and then be able to live a better life in the future.
I'm curious, how is he able to take a bath or eat? The normal things we do with our hands. Who is helping him do that?
The mom says she has to do everything for him, from bathing, he going for nature's call, any other thing that he has to do in the house, the mom has to do it for him.
What kind of effect is his condition having on his family?
It is having a lot of effect, and the mother cannot go anywhere except to be home all the time because he has to keep an eye on him. The epilepsy is one issue, and then the hands all gone to is another issue. And so the mother says she has had to stop doing a lot of things and stay home most of the time because of him.
But how did you find them, Martina?
I got a call from a lady who had worked in the community and said there was this boy who needed help, if I could come and see him and then see if the story was worth telling. And when I saw the boy, definitely I knew the story was worth telling.
Thank you very much, Martina Abukari, and thank you very much for bringing us this story. All the best to Alhassan Abukari. Now let's go to the Ashanti region for another sad story. This week, Prince Appiah reported of the killing of a pastor in the region. The 44-year-old man of God with Jehovah Nissi Church at Ejisu was murdered in cold blood. The incident occurred Wednesday dawn at his residence in Santase in Yinam news site. Let's speak to Prince now. Prince, what is the update from the police?
Daniel, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Prince.
Yeah, so as we speak now, the police had, embarked on some, some operation in certain parts of the Kumasi municipality and metropolitan area. And what they've done is that they've arrested a number of people. And what the police say is that they are now profiling them and trying to understand which of these people are connected to the incident that occurred on Wednesday dawn. And after that, they will definitely put them before the law and the rest will be followed. So that is what is coming from the police now. At least a swoop was done and a number of people have been arrested. It was basically in criminal dens in the Kumasi metropolis, and some people have been arrested and they are being profiled.
I see in the videos that you brought in that the family of the pastor is devastated. How are they faring now?
It still has been very difficult for the family. A lot of people continue to troop to the family house, also at Santase, to commiserate with the family. So anytime anybody gets there, then it becomes very difficult for the widow in particular to hold back her tears. She will continue weeping and a lot of people will join in. And so for the family house, it's been sober, it's been sad, tearful all through since it started. In the Santase and community proper, the landlord, for instance, had put in place some measures with the tenants, and now what they are saying is that on the fateful day that the incident occurred, the main door was not closed, and it has been a practice for a while now. So now it has become part of their new regulations, that tenancy agreements, that now everybody is supposed to get a padlock. When you come, you have to. Everybody must get a key to a padlock to that particular door. And anytime anybody enters, if you're the last person or not, you just lock it. The next person that comes must open and enter. And that will also help with the security in that area. And I must say that the police have also, stepped up security in that area.
Prince, thank you very much for that update. Now, still within the region, let's speak with Mohammed Nuruddin on the killing of nomadic herdsmen in the area, and also an armed robbery attack which led to the killing of one person. Nuruddin, tell us more about this.
First of all, let me talk about the armed robbery incident which occurred at Ahinkro here in the Ashanti region. What happened was that there is a story we did last year about mango farmers in the Kintampo area. I mean, this story was about the mango bacteria black spot disease, which is actually ravaging farmlands in the area. So there was this group of people who came to help the farmers manage the disease. So what we did was to go back and find out whether that help has actually yielded some results for the farmers. So we went to go to some of the farms to look at the yield rate, how much they're getting from each acre of farmland. Because in the past, they were getting between 5 and 7 tons of mango from each acre, an acre of farmland. But because of the disease, they were actually getting less than 1 ton, 1.5 tons from an acre. So they trained them on how to prune the mango trees, to apply some pesticides, and among other things. So we went back and we realized things are doing well for the farmers. So when we were coming back from Kintampo to Kumasi, we did not get a vehicle from Kintampo straight to Kumasi. So what we did was take a vehicle to board a vehicle from Kintampo to Techima. So we got to Techima around 10:30, and we decided to take another vehicle from Techima to Kumasi. So by the time we had left Techima, it was around 11 p.m. in the night.
That's quite the experience you had, Nuruddin, when you went there. Thank you very much for those updates you brought on that killing. We'll get more on the other story a bit later. Now, Richard Kojoyako joins us from the Central Region on a Saiko protest by fishermen. Now, Richard, I've lived around fishing communities almost my entire life, and it's quite rare to find fishermen protest against an illegal fishing activity. How did this happen in the first place?
Well, so in times past, the fishermen were accused that they used other illegal fishing practices such as dynamite, DDT, undersized fishing nets. But this time, what they are protesting against is the illegal transshipment at sea, popularly known as Saiko. Now, let me tell you about Saiko. Saiko is the situation whereby the industrial trawlers, they go on the high seas, they use undersized nets that they are not supposed to use, that is bad by law, and then they catch all the small fishes that are reserved for artisanal fishes. And so they go there, and then they catch all of these. Now, the intriguing and then the damaging effect of Saiko is that they catch these things, and the ones they deem undesirable, they throw them back into the sea, causing pollution in the sea. So what happens is that fishermen from Apam, mostly Apam, Elmina, they meet them halfway on the sea, and then they get this kind of fish, and then they store them, and then they sell them to the public. Now, this is accounting for the dwindling fish stocks we are witnessing. So very soon, scientists have told us that very soon, in a period of about 2 years, there might not be any fish for you and I to consume whenever we even go to the fishes market. And so that is what they are protesting. Now, the height of it is that they are in their bumper season and they are expected to have some bumper harvest. But because of these activities, fishes that are reserved for them, they are not getting any more. And so that is why they are protesting now. So if you look at along the 4 coastal regions of the country, Western, Central, Greater Accra, and Volta, they are staging a silent protest, and that is really the first step they are activating. And then,
so have they heard from authorities, Richard?
Well, so in the 2020 budget, government put it in that they are going to ensure that a total ban of Saiko. But the fishermen say they have waited and waited, and nothing like that is happening. And so that is why they are using this kind of protest. In fact, they've been engaging authorities, but authorities seem not to do anything about it. And so that is why they are using this means.
Richard, thank you so much for joining us from the Central Region. Let's head a bit further west and speak to Natalia Quanta, joining us from the Takoradi Market Circle. Ina, I understand the compliance of COVID-19 safety protocols in the market is not encouraging.
Yes, Daniel. If you can see from the backdrop, this is where these traders were relocated to the Jubilee Park, but you can see that they are back. Lots of activities ongoing there. It's sad to say that ever since Honorable KK Sam died, it seems the assembly has failed on that part. The market women are back. There is no social distancing protocol. I can count most of them here are not in their face shield. So that's the situation here, Daniel.
Now, Natalia, since this is linked to the death of the late mayor, KK Sam, who unfortunately passed from COVID-19 himself. When is his replacement being appointed? Have we heard anything about that from the Western region?
Honorable Abdul Muni is a businessman who is also a former chairman of the Takoradi constituency. Has been confirmed with 52 years from all voters at the assembly today. He says that his main aim within the 4 months left for him is to fight sanitation, especially at the market circle.
Right. Thank you very much, Natalia Okwanta, and congratulations to Mr. Moni. Hopefully, he will be able to restore the COVID-19 safety protocols which were championed by his predecessor, KK Sam. Let's now speak to Eliasu Tanko. Last week, Eliasu, we spoke to you on the opening of the Berge Dam and its effect on the people. What more have we found? We'll reconnect with Peter, with Eliasu Tanko very, very shortly. But let's talk to Peter Senu in the Oti region in the meantime. Peter, what have you uncovered this week? If you could unmute your microphone, Peter.
Right, that's okay. I'm okay now. Yeah, my take this week is on the revelation by the District Director of Health for the KGB district that there is insufficient funds for COVID-19 surveillance in the district. And then that is a sad reality. He has to complain to the media. And then we can also confirm that this is not just a KGB district issue. We can confirm that it is, we can say it's a regional issue that various directors of the health services would have to deal with in terms of COVID-19 fight. The sad reality, again, is the fact that various heads of institutions have also been sternly warned not to complain to the media, citing election year disaffection. And then so they are asked to keep quiet. And how can we get our problems resolved if we are quiet over them? We cannot continue to play the ostrich.
That's quite unfortunate, Peter. But I want to know quickly, Peter, if you can hear me, I want to know very quickly. So there's a lack of funds going to the heads of authorities to fight COVID-19. I'm curious about how that is reflecting in the fight on the streets. Are we seeing people taking personal responsibility and observing social distancing? Are we seeing a shortage in PPEs? How does that lack of money reflect to life in the Oti region or in KJB?
Well, if you want to talk about the protocols, I would say that it is getting relaxed. As we have been advised that we would have to live with the virus, people are no longer strictly wearing the face mask as we used to see. And my understanding is that my sources tell me that there is no surveillance strictly done as we used to see it in the early stages of the COVID-19 fight. And that if one does not fall sick really and report to any health facility in the district, no one does anything really about COVID-19 fight. That is what my sources tell me, Daniel.
That's very interesting, Peter. Thank you very much for joining us with those updates from the Oti region. No enhanced surveillance going on regards to COVID-19. It's only general surveillance. That's quite interesting. Let's go to Isaac Nonya in the Savannah region. Now, Isaac, last week, the WASSCE Riots in Indira Jakpa Senior High School dominated the news across the country. What is the picture like this week? Right, Isaac, if you can hear me, please unmute your microphone.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, let's go ahead.
Good. What was the question, please?
Right, I was asking about the situation at Indira Jakpa Senior High School.
That's correct. The findings led by the Municipal Chief Executive of Damago, Muazu Gibril, were able to come up with 13 names, 2 ladies and the rest boys. And we are told those names have been submitted to the national level. But what was not told to both GES and to management is the missing link that really sparked the outrage among the students. One, there's this particular teacher who happens to be called Joseph Bala. Joseph Bala is the biology teacher in the school. Then one Yombo is the integrated teacher of the school. The day of the integrated science paper, a day to that, the Yombo allegedly leaked a question paper to Joseph Bala to answer and bring the question to the exam paper, the exam hall. That was done, but for him to be able to have access to the Yombo who was evaluating the paper became a problem.
Okay.
So the up and down movement sparked the vigilance of those who were also with Yombo. They tried to find out what.
Right, Isaac. Unfortunately, we are having a challenge with your connection, so your audio connection is a bit bad. We'll get back and hear the details of that story a bit later. Let's wrap up in the Northeast region with Eliasu Tanko. Eliasu, so what's the latest on the opening of the Berge Dam?
Well, Daniel, I'm just coming from the communities along the White Volta River in the Northeast region. The NADMO has issued warning for the communities along that the waterway to move, but unfortunately, I can report that these residents are still occupying the communities. They told me that some of the communities actually said that they have not seen NADMO officials in their community. The NADMO have not come to tell them to move. And as you speak right now, they are still occupying the communities.
That's quite the concern. Why are they still there, Eliasu? Did you speak to them?
Yes, of course, I spoke to them, and they said, like I said, one of the challenges that the NADMO in the municipality is heavily challenged. My sources, I spoke to the officials there, they do not even have a vehicle to go to these communities to embark on desensitization. Some of the families or the community members also to tell me that this is where they farm, that area is where they get their livelihood. And so it is very difficult for them to move. I mean, this is a yearly ritual. Sometimes they will have to send security forces before they force this, residents out of the place. And so it's just continuation of what we've been witnessing over the years, Daniel.
Eliasu, thank you very much for joining us with those updates. All the best to the people living on the banks of the Volta. Let's go to the Eastern region. A big arrest was made this week at Osino. Maxwell Kudeko joins us with those updates. Now, we understand the operator and the owner of EmpressLeaks.com was operating in Osino, and he was caught there. What more has become of this story, Maxwell? Right, Maxwell, if you can hear me, what's the latest on the arrest of the owner of EmpressLeaks.com? Right, unfortunately, we are unable to establish contact with Maxwell Kudeko currently. We'll do that and bring that story to you later. But that brings from our own correspondents to an end. Let's move to other stories. And in our COVID-19 Impact series today, we focus on a 40-year-old woman who's struggling to feed her 2 children after the pandemic caused her to lose her sources of livelihood. It is one of many events of life militating against the empowerment and equal rights of women in Ghana. We have a conversation on this shortly when officials of SHRAJ and the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative join us. First, though, JoyNews' Annabella Ohinijan's story after visiting the 40-year-old widow to find out about the extreme techniques employed by her 2 sons, who are usually left with no option but to learn on an empty stomach. Her report is read to you. You're still live on The Pulse. We'll bring you that report after these few messages. Stay with us.